Then, and well, apparently Britain is full of fraudsters. That seems to be the position of the British government at the moment. So, the Department for Work and Pensions has launched what it describes as a new souped up powers to recover money directly from bank accounts of fraudsters. Following the third reading of the Public Authorities Fraud, Error and Recovery Bill. And the claim is that the bill is designed to combat multi-billion-pound benefit fraud in the UK. It proposes measures that will enable the DWP to reclaim funds directly from bank accounts of those convicted of fraud. It would also allow the DWP to obtain bank statements from individuals who are believed to have the means to repay welfare debts but are refusing to do so. We'll talk about why people might be refusing to do so in a second, but the courts may also have the power to suspend driving license of people that are described as fraudsters upon application by the DWP if they owe more than £1,000 in welfare debts and have consistently ignored repayment requests. And the Starmer regime is claiming that this bill will save the taxpayer £1.5 billion over the next 5 years. And they say it's part of a wider plan to set out in the autumn budget and spring statement to save £9.6 billion by 2030. But that doesn't seem like much of a return because the government claims this in their press release, and I'll quote this. The new legislation comes as the government is dealing with a broken welfare system that it inherited with out-of-control levels of fraud and error, costing the taxpayer around £10 billion a year, with a total of £35 billion of taxpayers' money incorrectly paid to those not entitled to the money since the pandemic. So £35 billion, but they're going to aim to get £1.5 billion back over the next 5 years. So there's something else going on here. This isn't.
I know what's going on.
Well, yeah, indeed. So they're taking another massive chunk out of personal privacy in order to recover a fraction of the alleged fraud that's taking place, and by giving access to the DWP to people's bank accounts. I certainly question the fraud allegation in any case because error arising out of an over-complex system and civil servant incompetence is much more.
It happens a lot,
yes,
where people are getting payments and then find out later, and then the government says, well, we've overpaid you and you need to pay it all back.
By which time you spent the money, you're on benefits already. Where are you supposed to get the money to pay it back?
Most of these people are in overdraft or they're on a day-to-day hand-to-mouth basis. So the idea that you're suspending their driving license, what if they drive a van or what if they need to drive to go to work? They're not going to be able to repay their debt.
Right.
But let me quickly, Mike, on this one. The CBDC, one of the features of the central bank digital currency is called the clawback.
Right.
Okay. What this looks like it is potentially a Trojan horse to provide the legislative legitimacy for a practice in the future with CBDCs that will be hugely controversial.
Well, it does that, but it just normalizes the thing in people's minds as well. But look, in the meantime, another big chunk of interference in personal liberty comes with the announcement by Rachel Reeves that cryptocurrencies will be regulated in the UK, and this is in order, they say, to support innovation while cracking down on fraudsters, right? Firms, this is what they're saying, firms offering services for crypto assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum will be subject to new clear rules, boosting investor confidence and driving growth through the plan for change. That should make us all feel very comfortable. So let's have a listen briefly to what she had to say at a fintech conference a couple of days ago.
That's why I'm delighted that we are today publishing draft legislation for the UK's comprehensive regulatory regime for crypto assets, engaging with all of you to ensure that the final legislation, planned for later this year, delivers for government and, most importantly, for the industry, and makes the UK a great place for digital asset companies to invest and innovate. For the UK...
Now, she went on to talk about the fact that the regulator needs to enable this, and this is very much the model, the regulatory model that's rolling out in the UK at the moment. MHRA does this as well. Ofcom's doing this too. You create regulations which enable the corporates to continue to behave very well. In the meantime, it absolutely restricts the activities of individuals. So look, this is about tax. It's about making sure that no one can make a capital gain on a crypto asset without HMRC knowing about it. Because what is the government actually doing about real fraud in the UK? Absolutely nothing. And just to give one example, the UK has currently the highest telephone fraud levels in Europe, with 45 million people targeted by scam calls and texts, hundreds of millions of pounds stolen from vulnerable people each year, so-called phishing scams, technical support scams, investment scams, refund scams, lottery and prize scams. This is big business, and UK Gov and Ofcom are doing nothing about it. And in fact, in 2023, CFAS, a fraud prevention NGO, ran a survey which indicated that £7.5 billion is stolen globally, and that 1 in 10 Britons fall victim to these scams in any particular 12-month period. This is something that the UK government does nothing about. In the meantime, they're busy increasing regulation in certain areas while ignoring the bulk of the fraud that takes place in this country.
Yeah, not to mention the money that's being shipped to Ukraine, but we won't talk about that because that's just a drop in the bucket, isn't it?
Precisely. Mark, back to you then. And